An 8-year-old boy is now facing murder charges. An 8-year-old, after cops say he beat to death a 1-year-old girl. They say it happened on a night last month when no parents were around. The place was Birmingham, Alabama. Police there say they think the 8-year-old attacked the 1-year-old because the 1-year-old wouldn't stop crying. Investigators say the mother of that 1-year-old was out partying that night. They say she left her daughter alone with several other children, among them, or I should say all of them, younger than 9 years old. The woman now faces manslaughter charges. Back in Birmingham, police there say officials have never prosecuted a child, at least not one this young, for murder, but they say this was a vicious killing. Dan Schorr is a former prosecutor who specialized in homicide cases like this one. He's also an adjunct professor at the Fordham Law School. How do you prosecute an 8-year-old?
It's so rare. You don't see cases of prosecuting a child this young, especially for murder. And that's why it's unclear how it will develop, because there's no typical situation like this where an 8-year-old takes the life of another individual.
Were the 8-year-old not left unsupervised, I suppose you could make the argument that this wouldn't have happened and that maybe you need to be looking at somebody else.
Well, that's why the mother of the 1-year-old is being charged with manslaughter, because she left her 1-year-old alone with 5 other children. The oldest one was 8. So she's charged with manslaughter under a reckless theory. She recklessly put her child in danger, left her in a dangerous environment that she should have known would lead to this great risk of death or serious injury.
How does an 8-year-old face his accusers? How does an 8-year-old speak on his behalf in court? I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. Are you?
I'm not, because you don't see this very often. The defense will certainly say that an 8-year-old hasn't developed mentally to have the intent to commit a murder, and that their brain functioning isn't developed enough to know the difference between right and wrong, to be able to control impulses, and that's why the child should be supervised. So for the child to be convicted of murder, there would have to be some intent to kill, and that's going to be hard to show from the prosecution. The defense is going to say it's not possible for an 8-year-old to have that intent.
And is it your sense that that defense will include not only the child can't have the intent, but where were the child's parents? And what do we do about that part of this?
That's an issue for charging other people, I think, more than the 8-year-old defending himself.
Imagine being a jury on a case like this. You think this will ever get there?
Well, it's going to go to family court, so most likely it will be before a judge. And the 8-year-old is not going to be going to an adult facility, even if he's convicted. He's going to need counseling. And one of the issues here, among others, is that juvenile facilities are usually designed for teenagers, because those are the juveniles who are committing crime. So even juvenile facilities aren't set up to deal with an 8-year-old for the counseling services, for other needs of the 8-year-old. So this is such an aberration. It's going to be tough for the criminal justice system to handle it.
It's hard to think how many lives are going to be so messed up out of this. I mean, you can't even begin to stop thinking about the 1-year-old, but think of all of the prosecutors and the defense attorneys and the whole community having to endure this.
The police chief is a hardened member of law enforcement, had been in the Alabama criminal justice system for over 30 years, and he said it was one of the most heartbreaking cases that he has seen. Added to the other facts is the fact that the mother not only left her child alone, but she was out at a club, so it wasn't as if she went to work and didn't know what to do. That still would be a crime, that would still be wrong, but she was going to a club and left her 1-year-old to be supervised by a bunch of kids no older than 8. Such a reckless thing to do, and that's why she's being charged with manslaughter.
Almighty sad. We'll let you know what happened. Dan, thanks.